get in. Looks like we have some familiar names. One's connecting to audio. Good deal. All right. Hello, everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly from the audio. Give me a reaction. Yep, Kath. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Glad. Welcome, everybody, to the UA in Germany Summer Abroad Program info session. We are going to be talking about our 5-week program, and the dates you see here are July 9th through August the 14th, and that will be 2021. Right now, price is still being determined. A lot of things are being worked out, but I want to go ahead and give you some information here. It is a 5-week program. The cost covers 4 weeks in Berlin and 1 week in Munich. The tuition for the language and culture courses, both accommodations in both cities, travel within each of the cities. So any travels, you know what, I should back up. I should introduce myself. I just jumped right in and didn't think to do that. I am Raegan Lemmond. I'm the director of the program, and I'm also a German instructor here at the university. I see some familiar names. Hello, those of you that I know. And I apologize for that. I've been directing the program since 2015, and it's a great program. So I'll go back to the information that I was talking about. So it was saying that it is travel within each of the cities. So any bus passes, any underground passes, all of that's included, as well as travel from Berlin to Munich. So we'll all travel together by train between the cities. And that's covered in the program fees. The museum entrances that's part of the culture course is covered. Some meals, not all of your meals, but some of your meals will be covered. It will also cover some fees for a SIM card or a cell phone, so that when you're there in the country, you have access to contact information. You can get in touch for various things. The courses are 6 to 7 credits. That will depend on the 3 or 4 credit hour language course that you're going to be taking. The 3 hours will be anywhere from the 200 and above, and then you can take 102, which is a 4-hour language course, and then 3 hours for the culture course. And everybody takes the culture course together, and I'll talk a little bit more about the culture course later. So we do spend 4 weeks in Berlin, and housing has varied from year to year depending on what we can find for the summer, but it's always worked out really nicely, and the students have always, I personally have always been pleased with everything that's happened. Just a few things in Berlin that you'll see. Of course, here you'll get to try some currywurst, which is what Berlin is known for. You can see the students at the Brandenburg Gate. That's one of the things we do, walk around that area and do some tours there. The fireworks that you see on the right there are from the Gendarmenmarkt, and that was a free 4th of July. They do a 4th of July fireworks show. You can sit, you don't have to pay. That's where my image is. The bear, the Berliner Bear, you'll see that all over the place. We also do go to the Berliner Dome, the cathedral, together. We visit that all together. East Side Gallery, which is the longest remaining standing portion of the wall, which is artists have done works there. We see that. Also the bridge that is there, it's a fairly famous bridge. It's also along the river. It's beautiful. There's always musicians playing, so you can sit and enjoy that area. The language courses. The language course will be offered at the Humboldt University, which you can see here in the background. This is the main building of the Humboldt. You arrive that day and take a placement test, of course, to place you in the courses. The course that you register for, so if you're in 102 or if you're in 201 or if you're going to be taking 202, that's what you're going to register for at the university. But the Humboldt will actually give you a placement test just to make sure that you are in the right course for the 4 weeks. The courses do go 5 days a week, 9-ish to 12:30-ish. Each course is a little bit different depending on the teacher and the professor. It is taught, you will be taking classes at the university from native speakers there in Berlin, and you will be taking classes with international students. So the students have met people from all around the world. One year there were several Brazilians, one year a group of Chinese, one year we've had Australians, Turkish, Russians. There was one summer, a couple of Russians really enjoyed spending time with our students. So you make a lot of international friends as well. So it's a nice way to you don't have to spend all of your time just with the university students. As you can see, their lovely faces. They're getting ready to take their test and all panicking. But it's a great experience. The culture course is then taught in English, and that meets outside of the classroom. So we are doing museum visits, we are doing tours, we're visiting different sites, we're depending on what's going on in the city, there might be a movie premiere opening, we'll go to that, different things. Depends on what comes up. Whatever's available, we'll do our best to do and see. And that's a 3-hour course. Here you can see the students and Dr. Fox here at the Olympic Stadium on a tour. Some of the places that we visited and toured is Berlin-Hohenschönhausen, which is the former Stasi prison. Always fascinating to see that. Also the Berliner Mauer. This is a section of the Berlin Wall that was left to show you what the two sides look like. And if you walk to the right of the wall, your classrooms are about 2 blocks from this space right here. So you're really kind of central and close to everything in the city center. They have a museum set up here so you can get some information. You can walk around this. You can climb this image that I took. You climb a tower across the street, and then you can see the no man's land and the wall and the way that it was laid out. And then in the background, you can actually see the TV tower that is there. And this right here is the cathedral that we had a picture of earlier that I said that we would visit. So you can see that where your classes are and where the wall is relatively central. And getting around, even though it's a big city, it's fairly easy to do once you get acquainted with everything. This was the Olympic Stadium. This is where we typically try to tour this if at all possible. They still hold concerts and soccer games here, so sometimes we have to alter our schedule to make things work. But this is where Jesse Owens won his gold medals in the Olympics in Berlin. Again, the students with the Bears and Big Al, of course. Big Al goes everywhere. That's always a fascinating and interesting tour. Memorial to the German Resistance. This is a powerful memorial, actually. This is where, if you've seen the Tom Cruise film Valkyrie, this is where von Stauffenberg, a lot of people have heard of his assassination attempt on Hitler. This is where his office was. And you will actually, they've set it up to a memorial now for all Germans who resisted. But you do get to actually walk through his office and you see the memorial, the plaque here. They were executed here. So this is always a fun, and not fun, an interesting tour. Did someone have a question or? I don't know, Caleb's just getting in. Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure no one had a question. The memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe. This is actually not far from the Brandenburg Gate there. It's an extraordinary architectural feature memorial here that you can see. We do take a tour. As you can see here, the students are sitting. We have our tour guide here, and she's giving some background information about the location and about the thought process and the foundation of everything. And then there is actually an underground memorial that we go into and spend some time there, learning more about the murdered Jews of Europe. We also toured the Parliament building, and you can see here, this is actually in the German Parliament. We got to tour that, and then afterwards we actually go up into this glass dome. If you see to the top of the building there, you can go up into the spiral and go all the way to the top and get a wonderful view of Berlin, as well as some historical facts. So we typically, if it's open and it's not being cleaned, we like to try to do that and schedule that tour. This is a tour of Deutsche Welle. Deutsche Welle is a news broadcasting station. They have all sorts of things for learning German, for news. We got to tour this, climb to the top of the building, and got to go into the studios and see the green screens and see how everything works from the background. Always fascinating if you're a communications, marketing, journalism, any of those kind of majors. Even that's not my major. still fascinating every time I go. So that's one of the tours that we typically try to do. They actually broadcast in 40 different languages. So it's not just German, they do English as well as several other languages. So the Berliner Kindle, this is the oldest brewery in Berlin. So we do actually go tour that and get to see how the magic is made, how it's made. It's a fascinating story with the divide, the East and West. And then we enjoy a lovely dinner together in the brewery. They accommodate us and we get to have dinner there. So that is one of the meals that is included. It's actually included in the tour. And then this is a day excursion that the university actually plans. It's a day trip to Potsdam, which is just outside of Berlin, and it is included in the fee. So your ticket for that is paid for. One of the directors, organizers with the university does a wonderful job giving a very informative tour. Beautiful city. This is where actually potatoes came to Germany. And that's a fascinating story there. So that's always a fun excursion for that. And you can just see how beautiful it is. And that's just a small portion of the gardens there. So you have the whole day. The tour, they leave in the morning and take a tour, and then you have the rest of the afternoon to explore the city on your own, and then come back whenever you feel like it. Then we spend a week in Munich. And in Munich, we do spend the week in a hotel. It's one we've stayed in since 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Do I have a chat? I'm sorry, I'm just noticing. Oh, okay. All right, good. I just saw it pop up. You're good. Yep. So we do stay in Munich in a hotel. And this image is from a church tower in the city center. So right here is the city center, the Rathaus, the city hall. This is one of the major churches there. You can see off in the distance is the Olympic Park and the BMW World, which is where BMW has a nice museum and a center there. And so this is the city center here. During this week in Munich, you're not taking language courses. You're still doing some writing for me, some journaling. This is more cultural experience, lots of tours. You do have free time as well to go to because Munich is full of wonderful, wonderful things, depending on your interest. And so there are some scheduled tours, and then there's also free time for you to explore on your own things that you would like to do. And then this is the city center. So you saw from above the students here. We were there. This is the Glockenspiel, and this goes off, and you have figurines that dance around when it plays music. And our walking tour last year concluded with the viewing, as you can see, everyone. The viewing of the excuse me, the clock going off. So it's an amazing structure. The picture doesn't do it justice. So another thing that we see, the university there in Munich, it's a well-known university, but one of the big things for the university was a resistance group of college students during World War II, and they were called the White Rose, and they put out pamphlets and were actually executed as college students. And I know that's a little bit of a downer, but it is extremely important to the history and being college students yourself. We always go, and this is the main building of the university where they actually threw their pamphlets from the top here. They would lay them here and then scatter them. And so that's something that we always go see together. There's also a wonderful ice cream place just behind at the back door. We typically take a stop by there to see if they're open, and we'll get a scoop before continuing our tour. And we also take a day trip to Nuremberg, and that's included in the fee as well. So it's a day trip. We travel together by train to Nuremberg. We visit the Nazi rally grounds here, which a lot of the propaganda films were made here and on these locations. It's a beautiful property and historically fascinating, sad, but also you can just see the architecture. And of course you have to have some wonderful food. These little sausages, we have lunch, of course, together at a nice little beer garden, and they serve these little sausages, which is the city specialty. These little sausages are the specialty of the city. And then, of course, you get some time. This is the Old Town. So you do actually get some time to walk around the city center, and you can see just how beautiful the architecture is in this medieval city here. Another day trip that you will take is to these two palaces from the Fairy Tale King, which Neuschwanstein, you see here, everyone knows is the Magic Kingdom castle. And then Linderhof. He had 3 main castles. These are the 2 that you will get to tour. The third one is a little more difficult to get to. So we focus on these 2. Amazing trip. Other fun things to do outside of that, you do have lots of free time. This is a bike tour I took with the students. It's voluntary. I just said, hey, I'm going to go take this bike tour if you want to join me. And we did a 3-hour bike tour on street art. It was a lot of fun. Different movies. I'm a huge movie fan. So if a movie comes out, I'll say, hey, I'm going to the movie. You can join me. Other museums, of course, I didn't even hit the nail on I mean, just the tip of the iceberg on the different types of museums that there are. Other day trips that you might be interested in, Sachsenhausen is not far. Also Dresden. There's also several lakes near Berlin. You could easily go to different concerts that are going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Couple of things that we have done. This is an art museum here, modern art, as you can see. That was a day where I said, hey, I'm going to go to this museum if anyone would like to join me. And then we also, this was a group that decided it was just if anybody wanted to take a tour of the soccer stadium in FC Bayern in Munich, this is the group that wanted to go. So some things aren't mandatory. Some things are just, hey, I'm going to do this if you'd like to join me. And then there are others that would be part of the program. And then this was our closing dinner. We'd love to have you join us in Germany. I know I sped through that because I wanted to get some time for questions, anything that you wanted to go back to. I know there's several people online. Were there any questions that were in the chat, or?
We didn't have any questions in the chat. You can either drop them in the chat, or you can go ahead and just turn off your mic, and you can share your picture if you want to or not, and ask questions if you have any.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, so Catherine Williams says, could you tell us about the cost of last year's program so you can have an idea of what it cost?
Sure. Last year's program was 50, you think 2020 term, my brain to mush, 5,725, I believe was the cost. So somewhere, I'm hoping to keep it in that ballpark. I'm still in touch with university and things like that, but around that, you can look at the 57, 58 for 5 weeks. And that essentially covers everything but flight and spending money.
Janona asked, how can we find out the price when you finalize that? It'll be listed on the website, so you can just go to the UA in Germany Language and Culture page. Mm-hmm. And once we have that finalized budget, that'll be on there.
Oh yeah, and you'd also, Janona, that's my email address too. If you'd like to be added to my email list, it'll be on the Study Abroad site, and I'll also be glad to email you any details as they become available. Mm-hmm.
And then Caleb is asking, what's your most favorite part about going to Germany?
Oh no, that's a loaded question. My favorite part about going to Germany, I would say going with the students is amazing, because I love watching you guys experience things that I have already experienced. So I take it for granted sometimes, but seeing you experience it for the first time with the group also, that's really, that means a lot to me. But then for me personally going, I just love Germany and the language and the culture and everything about it so much that just being there makes me, I don't know. I hate that there's not one thing I could say. The food is a big part, but I just feel like I'm home when I'm there. I just really enjoy everything about Germany. And I know that's a cheesy answer, Caleb, and I'm sorry. but the architecture and the art and the things that you can see and experience as far as history is concerned, it's just, there's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
Janona asked also, during free time, are we allowed to wander alone or do we go in groups?
That is really up to you. Some students are not that comfortable going off alone, which is perfectly fine and acceptable. And then some students are perfect. I had one student a couple of summers ago. I thought it was wonderful. He just got on the subway and would randomly get off at a stop. He would just get on a subway and get off at a stop and go walk around and take pictures and explore the area. And it is perfectly fine for you to go on your own, which is why I make sure that everyone has a cell phone, so that if you do get lost or if you do need something, you can call, but it's up to you. As long as you're safe. Sorry, Lacey.
Caleb's asking, how do you sign up for the trip? Do you want to take it or do you want me to? You
Go ahead, Lacey. Yeah.
Okay. So right now you can actually sign up under our general application through the Study Abroad website. So if you just go to the Education Abroad website, sorry, I'm trying to share my screen so I can show you exactly where it's at.
Yeah.
So under the program search, if you literally just type in general, it's going to pop up this general ed faculty program and you would just apply on there, right there.
Yeah. And then, and once they get the, Caleb, once they get the individual program details set up, they'll bump you into our particular program. Yeah. Just so.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. I often get questions too about the spending money, because the flight and the spending money, that's separate. It really depends on how much you spend. I had one student go with $100 per week and he did perfectly fine. If you like to buy a lot of things, you're going to need more than that. So spending money is a tricky thing to do. I always tell students to estimate about $2,000 for a flight. That's a little bit on the high end, or it has been in the past. Now with the pandemic, I don't know what flights are going to look like. And then for spending money, I typically like to tell students $200 a week. Again, that's on the higher end, but it's all, that's all, again, it's one of those gray areas. I can't really tell you an exact amount. So to answer, if anybody had a question about spending money. And
what does the currency look like in Germany?
What does what now? I'm sorry.
Like, what does the currency look like in Germany?
You mean like the exchange rate right now?
Yes.
The exchange rate actually right now is not too terrible. The last time I looked a couple of weeks ago, it was 1.13. So it's fairly low. So a little bit higher for the dollar, but close to that one. So it's not terrible right now. And you can use your debit card when you're there to go to the ATM and get cash, or you can go to the bank and get money ahead of time. That's not a problem either. Other questions?
Doesn't look like we have any more right now in the chat.
Okay. I will send everyone the flyer, the brochure in the chat. That way you'll have a copy of the brochure if you'd like. And it does have on the brochure, it does have my email address. So, and this video will also be posted on the Study Abroad website. Just have to find the folder. So if you have further questions, if something comes up after you leave this session and you want to reach out, the Study Abroad office is always helpful. You can reach out to anyone in the Study Abroad office. You can contact me, and I'm also happy to answer any questions that you may have pop up. And I also talk to parents. So if any of your parents have questions or concerned, I've met several parents throughout the years that just had a few follow-up questions. Always happy to talk with them.
So are we.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Study Abroad. Yeah.
So
yeah. Any others? To the, yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I hope to see all of you on our program, or at least on a study abroad program. I prefer mine, but you know, as long as you study abroad, that's my big thing. Just study abroad. Yeah. So thank you for attending and for being here. And if you have other questions, reach out to Study Abroad and to myself. All right. Thanks, Caleb.